Hi guys, welcome back to your old channel. I hope you are doing fabulous. Today we will start another chapter, the making of a scientist. Now, the making of a scientist means a scientist who has been made. Now, who is scientist? I told you that the scientist is a person who does his research work upon his specified area. Now, who has written? Richard E. Bright. Richard E. Bright has received the Cyril Scholar Award and the Schuring Plug Award for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. It was his fascination for butterflies that opened the world of science to him. That means he was interested in bioscience and the invention, or he researched upon the area of cells, how the cells work in living organisms, especially those work on the butterflies and then the coins and so on. So all this research work he did, and then he got famous. Now add, how did a book become a turning point in Richard E. Bright's life? We will also take a glimpse how a book played a prominent role in shaping his life. Then another question is very important. How did his mom help him? How did his mom help him? You have to be very much conversant with these two questions, because most of the time for your examination point of view these are randomly asked. Now how it starts? We are now going to read about the the childhood, from the childhood to the later on period of his life, when he became a full grown scientist. Now at the age of 22, a former Scouts of the Year excited the scientific world with a new theory on how cells work. Now when he was 22 years old, he was called the Scout of the Year. Excited the scientific world with a new theory on how cells work. And he, as I said, that he invented on the cells. How do the cells work in living organisms? He did his specialization on this particular area. Now, Richard E. Bright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. Now, Richard H. E. Bright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. So, what he learned, the invention and the origin of cells and how it works on living organisms, all these sorts of concepts were studied by him, and his contribution, how much he gained knowledge after all these experimentations and then readings, he contributed along with his other friends to the National Academy of Science. It was the first time actually this important scientific journal had ever published the work of college students. Now, it was the very first time when a college boy was able to publish his own research work upon the cells. He was one of them. In sports, that would be like making the big leagues at the age of 15 and hitting a home run your first time at bat. That means he was not only good at studies but also in playing other sports and games. He was equally par excellence. For Richard E. Bright, it was the first in a long string of achievements in science and other fields, and it all started with butterflies. Now, as I told you, how he gave his important contribution towards towards the more to know about the butterflies. Not only he is limited to this, he is also known for other aspects, including the games and sports, as I said. Now, the first attraction towards butterflies, it was started with him. How he dragged into the territory of invention in the field of bioscience. All it started with the butterflies, with more to know about the butterflies. An only child, Eve Wright grew up north of Reading Peninsula. There wasn't much I could do there, he said. I certainly could not play football or baseball with a team of one, but there was one thing I could do: collect things. That means he was born in Peninsula, and there he already had his own companion. What it was just his own invention. It was just his own invention. As a matter of fact, there was not a single person apart from his family who could accompany him all through. Only one companion he was accompanied by, that was his own invention. As there was no friend of him, that's why he just kept on doing his own research, and he excelled later on. He was only a child. There was no sibling of him. So he did ever beginning in kindergarten, and then E. Bright collected butterflies with the same determination that has marked all his activities. He also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. That means he all the invention and all the curiosity towards bioscience, it took a big shape where in kindergarten. It was just a school. When a child is small, he is to study at a junior level school, so this is called kindergarten. And then E. Bright collected, he was in a habit of collecting the butterflies with the same determination that has marked all activities. Now he has collected what he has collected. He has collected rocks, fossils, coins. He became an eager astronomer too. Sometimes stargazing online. That means not only he is limited to bioscience, to research upon the cells, how it work on, but also at the same point of time, he was much more eager to know about the stars at night, about the sky, and so all these are the works of an astronomer. So at the same point of time, he also aspired to be a good astronomer. From the first, he had a driving curiosity along with a bright mind. Now, from the very beginning, what are the indications? What are the signs of a brilliant child, of a brilliant person? He or she has to be very much curious about the things upon what he likes the most. Now, he also had a mother who encouraged his interest in learning. Now, always there is a back support person. There is always a back support person who pushes up, who always kindles some kind of positivity, some kind of curiosity among people or among children, and none other than it is the role of a mother. So similarly, he also has a mother who is very supporting, who is very adhering to his all likes, what he really wants to do, and she took him on trips. As I already told you that he does not have his father. When he was in third grade, his father perhaps passed away. So since then, she his mother actually started looking after him all through. So she used to take him to different destinations for enjoyment, for refreshing the mind. And then She also gifted the telescope and then microscope and then cameras and then other materials, other equipments related to science, to discovery. All this were gifted by his mother. Then what the writer writes here. I was his only companion until he started school. His mom said after that I would bring home friends for him, but at night we just did things together. Rich was my whole life after his father died when Rich was in third grade. As I already told you, and with this passage we come to know that the writer who is writing down this writing, he is actually a good friend of Richard, a good friend of Richard E. Bright, isn't it? So he just said that he lost his father, who the friend Richard E. Bright has lost his friend when he was studying in third grade. Then she and her son spent almost every evening at the dining room table if he did not have things to do. Now, since then, as we can speculate, we can relate that the fathers are the pillars of our house. So, if economically, of course, economically it has to be. So, financially, if there is none who can support, who can who can uh, who can be a pillar, then what a family and how a family can survive? There has to be a lot of turmoils, a lot of trials and tribulations one can go through. So that's how it is written here. So she and her son spent almost every evening at the dining room table. If he did not have things to do, I found work for him, not physical work but learning things. His mother said he liked it, he wanted to learn. So, this is the scenario where Richard, along with his mom, used to live in dining room. In dining room, and wherever the the friend Richardson does not have any kind of work, so what he used to do, what actually his mother making used to do, all the learning works were to be done by this person, by this friend Richardson, and learn he did. He earned top grades in school on every day. Thinks he was just like every other kid, his mother said. Each and every day, he is just like an ordinary kid. He behaves, he talks, he does everything like an ordinary person. By the end, he was in the second grade. E. Bright had collected all 25 species of butterflies found around his hometown. Now, by the time he was in the second grade, when he promoted to second grade, here in India, we can speculate it can be class second. Okay. And then he earned good grades in school. And E. Bright had collected all 25 species of butterflies. As I already mentioned out, that he was prominently known for having his own research work done upon finding species of butterflies. Species of butterflies. So when he was such a young boy, he had already collected 5 species of butterflies that found around his hometown. That means he did not go here and there. What kind of, or in whatever manner the butterflies used to arrive to him at his home, all the butterflies were collected, gathered by this person. Now, here we will also get a glimpse about biology, bioscience, and some bio biology related words, you must have heard it in your biology class, isn't it? If you have any doubts still to ask me, I will I will definitely make it clear, isn't it? Now, let probably, okay, that probably would have been the end of my butterfly collecting, he said. But then my mother got me a children's book called The Travels of Monarch 10th. Now, uh, he already had been collecting all the butterflies and its species, how many kinds of butterflies and other experimentations were done by him. So, he said at the end, when he just came to an end doing all these stuffs from the first to the last time. So his mother gifted a book. His mother gifted a book. I let you remind, this very question was picked up in the very beginning of your textbook. So this question can be asked for your examination point of view as well. So what's the name of the book that really molded, shaped Richardson's life? That is The Travels of Monarch 10th. Now that book which told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America and then open the world of science to the eager young collector. Now here we are getting some informations regarding of butterflies, how they used to migrate from one place and how they shifted to some other place, all about this, the ins and outs, all the details we are getting along the way. So then this is how his curiosity towards the butterfly started happening. Now at the end of the book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. Now in this book, The Travels of Monarch 10, I let you remind you one more thing, that here the monarch is actually a kind of butterfly we are talking of. This is not the monarch of imperialism or of king related or prince related sort of things. No, not as such. This is just a name of the species of butterflies. This is a kind of species of butterflies. So here when the book comes to an end, there what the readers are finding, they are finding that they are getting a kind of invitation to study more, to to develop research upon finding about the butterflies, their origins, and then etc. like that, and from where they migrated and to which place they settled ultimately, eventually, all these things this book has emphasis on, and the emphasis has been given in the last page of this book. Is it clear? Any doubt? If you have, kindly ask me. I will make it clear, because already you people have grown up people, so I don't think so any kind of difficulties can be faced. But if it is so, then let me know, isn't it? Now, they were asked to tag butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick Urquhart of the University of Toronto, Canada. That means the butterflies, like we are in a habit of collecting many things. It can be anything. So, similarly, the book that I talked of, that book put a stress upon the collecting of different sorts of butterflies. It is of different species. So the actually the wings of the butterflies have to be pasted with some adhesive, some glue like things, and to be tagged with some kind of writing, so that at a glance it can be understood with the help of writing that this is the species of this kind. That's how. So Eve writes, Mom, Ebright's mother wrote to Dr. Urquhart, and soon Ebright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wings of monarchs. Now, I am using the word butterfly for simplifying this very understanding. But then here in your book, how it can be written, it is actually written with monarch. Then again I am telling you, monarch is just a kind of species of the butterflies. Anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. That means if you are researching upon a particular or specific area, whether it is related to your own specified area, whether it can be on bioscience, on physical science, or on literature or linguistics, you when you send your own research work to the expertise, to the adept people, you get a kind of remark from them. Similarly, here what we are getting across, we are reading that Richard has sent his own collection of butterflies, and it has been sent to Dr. Urquhart, who lives in Canada. That's how. So once any of the half-baked thing has been done, it can be paved up fully with the help of the guidance of the expert people, isn't it? In that manner, it has to be taken off. Correct? Now, the butterfly collecting season around breeding lasts 6 weeks in late summer. Now, you can also take a look of your graph. It has been vividly drawn there. If you are going to chase them one by one, you won't catch them very many. So the next step for Ebright was to raise a flock of butterflies. What does it mean? It means that when you are going to start collecting all the butterflies, then it has to be ended by late summer. Just take a look of this graph. It is helping you to understand it. So if you are going to chase them one by one, so if you are going to catch them one by one, like somewhere a butterfly is flying, and you are thinking to trap it down, well, it cannot be possible in any way. It cannot be possible according to this text. Now he would catch a female monarch, take her eggs and raise them in the basement through their life cycle from egg to caterpillar to pupa to adult butterfly. Now again, some of the biological terminologies have been immensely used here. How the genius person, the scientist, who is that scientist? Richard is thinking to trap the butterflies, the female ones of course, and he would catch them, keep them under the basement. Now basement is the underground area. As if you have gone to the airport, there is also a basement area where each and every airline's departments are situated, are found there. So that is the underground area where Richard is thinking to keep them for their later stages of development. And how this development stages take place? What are the stages? If I'm asking you as an examiner, what kind of, or how many stages do you find in the development of butterflies, then you need to write, at least it may carry 4 marks, isn't it? Now you have to write cycle from the life cycle, starting from egg, then caterpillar, and then pupa to adult butterfly. You must consult with your bioscience teacher if that person can able to give you more explanations in this regard, because in this sector I think my knowledge is limited in bioscience. So not in that manner I can sketch out all the things, but then yes, superficially, just apparently I can let you understand how it works. And then he would also tag the butterflies wings and let them go. Now he would also tag the butterflies in the very beginning. Already I mentioned that the wings of butterflies have to be pasted with some kind of taggings with the help of adhesive object, and then it has to be written something by which the scientists can understand what kind of species they are, and from where they have arrived, and where are they supposed to be reaching. All these informations have to be present. So for several years his basement was home to thousands of monarchs in different stages of life. Now, just assume there are thousands of butterflies are kept inside a room that is made up of, let's say, glass, and very transparently you can see it from the outside. So how can it be visible? So as such scenario, as such scene, the writer is presenting in front of us. Now eventually I began to lose interest in tagging butterflies. Let's say if we get to do anything on a regular basis, over a time we may lose our interest upon doing whatsoever we have been doing for prolonged, for extended period of time. So as such thing also happened to the writer, to the writer. And then E. Bright said, these are the words of E. Bright, isn't it? And who is E. Bright? As we know that he is the prominent scientist of biology. Now, in all the time I did it, he laughed. Only 2 butterflies I had tagged were recaptured, and they were not more than 75 miles from where I lived. So what the writer is wanting to say, he does want to say that he had been doing the tagging work of butterflies, and then once he captured, and then again he let them fly from that place, and again when they come back, again the writer recaptures. So this scenario, this sequence of happenings occurred one after another, and then they were not more than 75 miles from where I live. So it just goes to show that whenever he used to do this work, once he keeps them under his basement and then he just releases them. So the butterflies could not be able to fly over 75 miles. If you take it with the help of radius, then it has to be under the radius of 75 miles from where the author, the writer used to live. Got it? Meanwhile, if you feel any kind of difficulty, do ask me. I am here. What's going on there? What's going on? Pay concentration here. I'm speaking and you are playing there. Is it fair? I don't think so. Now, get energized. So, Then in the seventh grade, he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair. So we are talking about this scientist when he started studying in seventh grade. Now we can contextualize it with the seventh class students, how a seventh class student behaves. So just like that. So he just participated, or rather he actually entered a county science fair. So did you must have seen in your institutions, in your universities, definitely you people are university students, so all mature and grown up. So in science department, if you take a look, then how all the laboratories and then science lab, this all things look like. So there are different kinds of experimentations. After experimentations take place on a regular basis. So at such scenario, just take an example. The writer is actually entering as such area, and there he just got lost. So when he reached at the very beginning, he got lost. It happens actually. If you also visit the airport or any museum which is very bigger in size, there is a tendency, there is a highly proximity of getting lost at an instance. It can happen. So then what he writes, it was really a sad feeling to sit there and not get anything while everybody else had won something. That means once a person is lost in his direction, then can he be able to think that he would win this, he would do that? He would be thinking, he would be preoccupied with his thinking that how he would be able to get off here, how he would be able to get off here. So Bright just said this. His entry was slides of frog tissues, and then which had showed under a microscope. He realized the winners had tried to do real experiments, not simply make a neat display. So he just did his entry with sliding of frog tissues. Actually, if you go back at least 15-16 years back, you must have seen all the students of West Bengal board taking science stream. They used to experiment with different kinds of equipments. Using those equipments, on they used to operate with all those instruments on frogs, and they used to cut off different body organs in order to investigate what used to be there. It is very merciless work. Now it has been come to an end, hopefully, and there will be there. I hope and pray there will be no torture upon animals as far as the research work is you know uh, is concerned. So I knew that for next years fair I would have to do a real experiment. So at the very beginning, when he was unable or he was unsatisfactory with his own experimentation, while he was lost at the same point of time, he determined himself that next time whenever this scientific scenario or the this science exhibition takes place, he would definitely give his 100% in order to win the prize. Now it's all about curiosity, as I always do say to you and to others as well. So there is a great importance of curiosity. If this instigation, if this urge of curiosity rekindles in your souls, I think you can be an expert at your own place. I knew that for next year's fair, I would have to do a real experiment. He said the subject I knew most about was the incest work I had been doing in the past several years. Now, as a matter of fact, he had been dealt with butterflies, its origin, and so on and so forth. So what is a butterfly? What is a butterfly? Butterfly is an insect, of course. Okay, so he was thinking that next time whenever the science exhibition happens, I would do my research work. I would present my research work of insects. Okay, so he wrote to Dr. Arquette for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions for experimentation. So when he was curious about doing this particular research, he wrote a letter in order to get some kind of advices, recommendations, or suggestions from this doctor who is expert, as I said. Those kept E. Bright busy all through his high school and led to prize projects in country and international science fair. That means after having followed the footsteps showed by his expert, he won many awards, many prizes nationally and internationally. That means he got the limelight when he followed the guidance of his superior. Okay, this is how. For his 8th grade project, E. Bright tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. Now, when he was in 8th grade, E. Bright tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly 8 monarch caterpillars every few years. There was a great disease took place. It is named viral disease. How it was originated, from where did it come, all these informations were in oblivion, were in obscurity. Into this were the things that no one knew before. And he just came forward and researched upon this very disease all through. How this viral disease took many a life of monarch caterpillar. Many a life of monarch caterpillar. Again and again, I am repeatedly mentioning that this monarch caterpillar has nothing to do with the king or queen like this. It means simply this is the name of a butterfly. Simply, this is the name of the species of a butterfly. Is that clear? Okay. Now, E. Bright thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. How the disease evolved, how the disease got spread out, it must have been come with the help of beetle. With the help of beetle. Again, beetle is a small insect. Must have seen. Okay. Then he tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. Now he tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I did not get any real result, he said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment. This time I won. Next, so he just came forward with the result that with the presence of beetles, there was no harm in the production of caterpillars, monarch caterpillars. That means beetles have no role in mitigating, in reducing the production or harming the monarch caterpillars. All these are the species of butterfly. So beetles have no role play here of reducing or of harming all this. Now this time he actually came to a conclusion, and that's how he was thinking, as if he won the match. The match of finding the reason of viral disease that killed monarch butterflies a lot each and every year. Is that understood what I'm trying to say? Yeah, right. Getting me? Okay, okay. You keep on doing a walk. Fine, fine. For his 8th grade project, E. Bright tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars. Every few years, E. Bright thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. He tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I didn't get any real result, he said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment. This time I won. At least he gave his own try. He could satisfy himself by saying, at least I have tried my best, and I came to this much conclusion that can be added. So then the next year, his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. The theory was that viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds. Viceroys, on the other hand, do taste good to birds. Now, again, we are here getting another terminology of biology, that is viceroy butterflies. Already we learnt about monarch caterpillars, monarch butterflies in simpler terms if I let you understand. So here we are getting two sorts of butterflies. The one is viceroy butterfly and the other is copy monarch. So the theory was that viceroy look like monarchs. How there is a great similarity, there is a great resemblance between the viceroy butterfly and the copy butterfly. It is also thought, it is also said that monarch butterflies can eat the viceroy butterflies, and this is also a kind of good taste to the birds as well. The more they look like monarchs, the less likely are they to become a bird's dinner. It can be the food of the birds as well. There is a highly probability, there is a highly chance that the viceroy butterflies can be eaten by the birds as well. E. Bright's project was to see whether in fact birds would eat monarchs. It is the research work of E. Bright's project that he would be finding if it is real that the birds eat the monarch butterflies. He found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. He was startled, that means he was very surprised to see that an ordinary bird doesn't eat any of the monarch butterflies. It would eat all the monarchs it could get. E. Bright said later research by other people showed the viceroys probably to copy the monarch. That means later on his further invention experimentation carried that the birds are tended to eat the viceroy butterflies. This project was placed first in the zoology division and third overall in the county science fair. And this very project, which was added later part, that one was also published and added in the science fair. In the second year in high school, Richard E. Bright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to his new theory on the life of cells. Now we are going through how the cells do work on the living organisms. Upon this area, he did research upon. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? Now, how does a pupa look like? Pupa is just the after getting off the egg, any living organism is found in whatsoever form, that very stage can be said in biological terms is pupa. So he was there to investigate whether there were 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa. We are talking about monarch butterflies. Whether the 12 spots really could be found or not. Everyone assumed the spots were just ornamental. Ebright said, but Dr. Huperherd didn't believe it. And there are on the surface of the pupa, there are different spots can be found. And this is just an ornamental, this is just the decorative one. This is the thought. Actually, this particular statement is the thought of Mr. of Mr. of whom I'm speaking. You should be also giving me some kind of reply. I'm also waiting. Yeah, of Mr. Richard. To find the answer, Ebright and another excellent science student first had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing a hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. Now, to find the answer, Ebright and other excellent science student first had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. Now, the spots that you see on the surface of pupa, that very is the indication that the later stages some developments will take place, some developments will occur. If there are no spots on the surface of the pupa, no one can speculate that the further developments will definitely take place. This project won Ebright first place in the country fair and entry into the International Science and Engineering Fair. With the help of this project, Ebright first placed this one in country fair, and then he put this project into the International Science and Engineering Fair. There he won third place for zoology. As I said, he is a biologist. Definitely he would be working not for humanities but for zoology subject. So he also got a chance to work during the summer at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. With the help of this project, he was also able to contribute his own self towards Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. That's how. As a high, so therefore we can add on how many accomplishments, how many successful missions he had been gone through. It is just because of his first failure at the very beginning when he was lost after getting into the science exhibition fair, and from there how the expert, the doctor to whom he sent the letter, or he sought some sorts of suggestions to get, after getting all the advices from that doctor, he was able to land himself at this position. So we can learn a lesson that we should not give up at any circumstances. We have to just fight on and fight on. As a high school junior, Richard E. Bright continued his advanced experiments on the monarch pupa. He was a high school junior. High school means perhaps he was in class 11th or class 12th, but then as in comparison with a PhD scholar or MPhil scholar, those who are doing their research works, in comparison to them, he is definitely junior in terms of age, in terms of degree. Just like that, he continued his own advanced experiments on the monarch pupa. Then he started experimentations, doing all the researching work on the monarch pupa. As I said, it's all about finding the spots, and by recognizing those very spots, one can think that the further later stages, it could be traced that some developments will take place. That year, his project won first place in the International Science Fair and gave him another chance to work in the Army laboratory during the summer. Again, he was positioned with first. He was given the first position and he was able to work with the Army laboratory during the summer. So, during that summer days, he was also able to work with Army laboratory. In his senior year, he went a step further. He grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture and showed that the cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing scales only if they are fed the hormone from the gold spots. Now, again, with the help of diagram, you need to understand that we are talking about the cells. Now already I told you what is a cell. Cell is a very tiny particle. It's a very small in shape, that can be seen inside our body, and it can be seen with the help of microscope. Similarly, the butterflies also have their cells, that's why they are alive. So cells, so with the help of cells, what the writer is trying to say, he is trying to say that the cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wings over the stages, over the years, or over the days. When a pupa takes a form, that is something biologically called one after another. I'm talking about the stages after pupa, what is there, and after that what is there. So right from the time of pupa, there some hormones could be seen from the gold spots, and later on they will become butterfly in full. That project also won first place for zoology at the international fair. The cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing. Normally, I just let you understand by using diagram. Just assume that this is a cell. This is a cell. Would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing. Now it is getting divided into normal butterfly wings. Or you must have seen how the wings look like. There are two wings of butterflies, and if they were fed the hormone from the gold spot, just assume if you are feeding the butterfly from the hormone fed, okay, this is the butterfly, just assume, fine, and there is somewhere hormone, and you are feeding the butterfly from the gold spot, and the spot where you are trying to feed the butterfly, this is this area has to be called the gold spots. That project won the first place for zoology at the international fair. So this very concept which I drew here, this very concept has positioned him first when he participated at the international fair. He spent the summer after graduation doing further work at the Army Laboratory and the laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. Then he further also did work at the Army Laboratory and then laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. The following summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, so you can imagine how many universities he did work with, and then how many universities he did leave. Ebright went back to the laboratory of the Department of Agriculture and did more work on the hormone from the gold spots. Again, the feeding area, this particular area where the foods can be taken in. So on this particular spot, this is actually called the gold spot. On this particular spot, this is the organ. This is the organ of butterfly. On this organ, he also did his specialization. All I want to say. And then he was able to identify the hormone's chemical structure, and then how the hormone started secreting inside the butterflies. He also did research, he also did intensive study upon this part. A year and a half later, during his junior year, Ebright got the idea for his new theory about cell life. Later on, he started investigating upon the cell life, how a cell life is. How a cell life is. It came while he was looking at X-ray photos of the chemical structure of a hormone. Now, how an X-ray report looks like. You must have seen whenever we have any kind of issues with our bones, we get the X-ray report, and we can spot out very easily with the help of those rays where the deficiency or where the let's say problem is occurred. So with the help of X-ray, he was able to see the hormone. With the help of X-ray photo, he was able to locate. He was able to study more and more about hormone, chemical structure of hormone, how the chemical secretes or the secretion of chemicals inside the butterfly. All about this he was able to read. He was able to understand. When he saw those photos, Ebright did not shout "Eureka" or even "I have got it," but he believed that along with his findings about insect hormones, the photos gave him the answer to one of the biology's puzzles. Now, before his invention, before his own researching work, there had been no concrete way of redressing this particular enigma, I would say. So when he saw those photos, Ebright did not shout "Eureka" or even "I have got it." He believed that along with the findings about insect hormones, the photos gave him answer to the biologist's puzzle. That means he was able to understand the findings about insect hormones, how the hormones, this chemical secretion of this secretion of chemicals, how it all spreaded into the butterfly's body. All about this he was able to make out. And then it was not like I have accomplished a work and then I'm just shouting up and up. This is not like that. Okay, I have succeeded. No need to show off. Like this, he had a temperament. How the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. Then he also researched upon how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. How the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA, he also did his research upon. DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. Now, what is DNA? First of all, you should know, if not in broader sense, but in shorter sense at least. So DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. Now, heredity from one generation to another generation to another generation. So this is how all the heredity process goes on. It determines the form and function of the cell. Now this very trait, this very quality will determine the function of cell from one person, not about person, from one butterfly to the next butterfly to the another butterfly, how this process, this phenomena will perhaps start happening or will remain doing the same. All these things he did research upon. Thus DNA is the blueprint of life. Therefore he could able to establish his point that DNA is the blueprint for life. E. Wright and his college roommate James R. Wrong worked all that night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Together they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. Now he was not alone doing this all research work. He was accompanied by his friend. Who was him? He was James R. Wrong, who worked with him. He was. They all spent a sleepless night. They were found drawing the pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how all this process do take place. Together, they just later wrote the paper that explained the theory, and later on, they just were able to show their theory. Do you understand? Yes, yes. To try to get it off, no issues. All the things will be covered. I will let them know. Fine. Then surprising, no one who knew him, Richard E. Bright graduated from Harvard with highest honor, second in the class of 1050, 1510. E. Bright went on to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. Now he was given the distinction and he came second in the class where at least 1510 students were studying. Okay, then he became a graduate student researcher where at Harvard Medical School. There he began doing experiments to test his theory. Then he did not stop there after having done his degree. He kept on doing his research work on and on. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the process of life. Now, if on what area he is doing his specialization, or he is specializing on, if that area comes into being, if it is successfully done, then the whole universe, the whole world will definitely remember him for his work. It might also lead to new ideas for preventing some types of cancer and other diseases. Why? Because it will be a kind of help to explore, to prevent the types of cancer and other diseases. So it can prevent, it can put a barrier, hurdle in order to get infected with cancer or other diseases. All of this is possible because of Ebright's scientific curiosity. His high school research into the purpose of the spots on the monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about life cells. So he started kindling about knowing more and more about monarch pupa and the purpose of spots, how the spots can be traced on the surface of pupa. All these informations, especially the spots that are found on the surface of pupa, particularly this gave a new direction in the domain, in the realm of bioscience, and it was immensely contributed by Richard E. Bright, the scientist. Got it? Now, Richard E. Bright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply. But he has not time for other interests. So, from the very beginning, he was not interested in any other activities. As I said, he was alone. He had only one companion, that was his own curiosity, his own inventions. Okay, and apart from doing his own inventions and other experimentations, he was accompanied by none. E. Bright also became a champion debater and public speaker, expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. So he was not limited to being a boffin. Boffin means same as scientist, isn't it? So he was, along with, he was also a photographer, and then nature lover, and then science lover as well. In high school, Richard E. Bright was a straight A student. When he was a student of school, he always tagged with A grade. He was always tagged with A grade. So because learning was easy, he turned a lot of energy towards the debating and Model United Nations Club. So whatever, in whichever manner he learned himself, in a in order to get the energy, he just gave his 100% towards the debating and Model United Nations Club. He also found someone to admire, and Richard A. Whittier, his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs. Mr. Whicher was the perfect person for me then. I opened my mind to new ideas. Now, we all have some teacher in our life who really shaped our life. So, in this manner, in this context, Richard E. Bright, who is this most prominent scientist, he had his social science teacher who also gave a plethora of contribution towards towards molding his intuitions, his instinct in finding more and more about the discovery of cells and how it propagates in living body, about all this. Now, Richard would always give that extra effort. Mr. Wheeler said, now we are limited by our own limits. But then when it comes to Richard, he is not pressed down by anything. He just gives his 100%, or rather extra effort he just put into whenever it comes to finding any research related work. Now, what pleased me was this person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research, besides doing all his research with butterflies and other interests. That means he used to be getting so much of interest when it was night. That means during night times he used to devote himself towards research and other stuffs as such. Richard was competitive, Mr. Withers continued, but not in a bad sense, he explained. Now, by disposition, by temperament, he is not a static or a stagnant person who just has got achieved his mission done and then he just got stopped. Nothing as such. He was so. He was rather competitive. He was rather competitive. Always wanted to fight. Always wanted to learn more and more about whatsoever it was informed. He explained Richard was not interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. So we are actually hankered after a prize or for possession, materialistic way to get satisfied, to gratify our needs. Nothing as such has been happened to this scientist because he was a scientist. So the to get the first prize, to be positioned second, nothing as such was his yearn, his impulse. He did his own work in order to satisfy his own desire. It was out of passion, it was out of pure instinction he used to do. That's why he won. not for single time but for many times. And then he explained Richard was not interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. Rather, he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could. Like for example, if a person is very much expertise at any work, then he would do it repeatedly and repeatedly. He would not stop at any moment. So big why? Why? Because he or she does love, has passion much more for that particular, for that specified, for that stipulated work. For the right reasons, he wants to be the best. For this reason only. So whatever he just touches, he has to give his 100% into succeeding in that task. Now, and that is one of the ingredients in the making of a scientist. Now this is the very trait of a successful person, not only of scientists but also as a whole, on the whole, as a general matter of fact, that the people who are utterly successful, they have only one thing in their mind, and that is the straightforwardness. Going, keep going, never give up, optimism, inflating faith in themselves, and that's how they just march on and on. Start with a first rate mind and curiosity and mix in the will to win for the right reason. E. Bright has these qualities. Now he was fueled up with curiosity. He was fueled up with curiosity to know more about reasons. That means as we are dealing about science. So the very base that has to be concrete, that has no base, made up with, let's say, imagination, fanciful or fancy world. It has to be a concrete world on what we can stand firmly, not, not on the it is not making the castle in the air, which is absolutely fanciful. Here we are dealing with scientific facts. So he just gave much importance towards this being scientific. E. Wright has these qualities from the time the book The Travels of Monarch X opened the world of science to him. Richard E. Bright has never lost his scientific curiosity. So, how a book that was gifted by his teacher, or let's say his expert, just molded, shaped a person's life perpetually, forever. The Travels of Monarch X. Now, already I told you, it's all about, this book is all about the migration of different species of butterflies from one place to another. To know more about butterflies, he started studying this book, and at the end, the conclusion, when he came to study those conclusions, he then started doing his own research work upon the very same topic, about finding more and more the species of the butterflies. That's how. And how he contributed himself in the domain of science, we can speculate. His magnitude of his contribution can be understood, very well understood, even in 21st century. Richard E. Bright has never lost his scientific curiosity, and since then, when he finished his observation and experimentation and researching work, he didn't shut up. He kept on researching upon some other areas of living organisms. So that's how I think all the things have been minutely clarified by me. If you have any kind of doubt, you may ask me right now, of course. Actually, your HOD sir asked me to take this class because he was supposed to be going to the University of Hyderabad for taking the further classes. So he just appointed me for this class. Otherwise, I would not have been taking this class at this point of time. You people must have surprised me seeing me at the very beginning. Yeah. I should have spoken it at the beginning, but then I missed it out thoroughly. In more detail, you must have a talk with HOD sir. He will definitely make it clear. I had a word, of course. I had a word, and he just assured me, as per my capability, this has to be done. Otherwise, further informations definitely will be addressed by him. Certainly, sure. Okay, so I just close it up with this class here. My lecture has been completed. I think I have taken 15 minutes more. I really apologize for my overtime. Next class, I just let you know some other topics as well. Okay, okay. I will mail. Fine. Okay, thank you for having me. Good night, good night. Take care. Bye.